I think I'm ready, right? Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for Property is Power. First off, I would like to thank the Michigan Chronicle for producing Property is Power, Homeownership During the Crisis, Blessing and Burden Roundtable. That's awesome. We also would like to thank our sponsors, Flagstar Bank, the Fair Housing Center of Metro Detroit, and Kellum Mortgage. My name is Anthony Kellum, and I'm the founder and president of Kellum Mortgage and the author of Property is Power. Today, I hope that you walk away more powerful and understand what your options are as a current homeowner and a new homeowner during this pandemic. For our roundtable today, we have a great group of individuals who will be able to provide more insight into your home journey, whether you are a potential home buyer or a current homeowner. As a nation, we have been struggling personally and economically, especially our African American community. We'll be discussing some of the challenges that the African American community has been facing and how we can overcome those difficulties. Today we have Brittany Lawrence. Hi, Brittany, who will be sharing her personal journey as a potential home buyer. Kristen Holt, who is the president and CEO of Green Path Financial Wellness. Welcome. Jeff Clatterbaugh, who is the president and sales manager of Independent Bank, and Austin Black, who is the president of City Living Detroit. For those of you who are watching at home, if you have any questions, submit them through the comment session, and I will answer those. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to have you. And these are very, very interesting times that we're in today. Homeownership is so important, and I know many Americans are struggling to make the housing payment and concerned about where the next check is going to come from. And I know that there has been a decrease in some of the stimulus money, but also that is the burden side, but there's a blessing. You know, there are a lot of great things going on in America right now in terms of interest rates being low. People are buying more houses than ever before. Construction has been up 22%. And I just kind of want to change the narrative and share that narrative with people that this is the absolute time to try to position yourself to become a homeowner. Homeownership is so important in our community. I'm an advocate that this is my life mission is to promote homeownership in the African American community. More people that own homes are more likely to go to college, less likely to go to jail, and more importantly, become stakeholders in their community. We've got to get the word out that property is power. So Brittany, welcome. I got the first question for you because I know your mom is watching. So tell your mom I said hello. So just give you guys some backdrop. Brittany called me about doing her mortgage. And I was so impressed with her, young girl, young African-American girl out here trying to become a homeowner. And we go through everything. And she said, my mom want to talk to you. And I was like, uh-oh, here we go. The mom must give me the right hook. And she just basically shared with me, Brittany, I don't know if you know this, how proud of you she was. She's just so proud of you to see you own a home, which touched my house because I like how parents are promoting home ownership or teaching our kids to buy home ownership. And so I'm still working for Brittany's business, Jeff. So she's fair game. And I mean, she's got me working hard, man. So I just want to see her buy a house and become a homeowner and enjoy that. But if you can share with our listeners, what has that experience been like during the pandemic? Has it been easy to see properties? Have you been nervous? What is that overall experience have been for those who are looking to go out and shop for a home?
In the beginning, I was a little nervous just because of COVID and everything, but a lot of homes that I went to see, they have shoe coverings, they have masks, they had hand sanitizers at the door. So after the first home, I wasn't nervous about it anymore. And I always made sure to bring my own mask if there weren't any masks provided.
Nice. What about on the financial side? Has the technology piece, what does that feel like to you? I mean, I know we send you emails, you open those emails up. We never really met or interact, which is new for me. I love being in front of people, but this new technology is awesome as well. How has that experience been for you?
I think it's cool that we have the opportunity to use email and everything, but I feel like I would have understood a lot more things if we could do things in person. I don't, for a lot of first time home buyers, we don't know any of this language that you're talking about. And then when you say, just sign here, and you're like, I'm signing my life away to what? But I do understand everything that's going on. So it made it a little bit more difficult. At the same time, it was a lot easier for a work schedule as well.
So you felt like a little bit of an impediment was not having a human touch, able to look across the table and say, "Hey, what does this mean? What I need to do here?" And then if you called and we explained it to you, maybe you didn't actually capture it all the time. So that's a good tip. So Jeff, that's just let you know the human element is important. Kristen, I'm gonna move towards you for just a question because I know Brittany, you asked about this um, uh, homeowner down payment assistance. If you could talk about that in your organization, how people get involved in that, that would be great.
Absolutely. So I'm from Green Path Financial Wellness, and we're a nonprofit, one of the largest housing counseling agencies in the country as well. And we do a lot of work around pre-purchase housing counseling, and there are down payment resources available. There's a website, downpaymentresource.com, that you can refer to, and that provides local resources that are available. And we partner with Freddie Mac as well on housing initiatives to help make home ownership more attainable, especially for lower income families. And we provide support and counseling and help you understand your particular situation.
Nice. Now, is that something that people sign up for? Like, do they pay money, or like, does Brittany get on a waiting list, or how does that work, or is it the link kind of walk them through that process?
Yeah, if you just go to our website at www.greenpath.org, you can get a lot of information, and you can get our phone number, give us a call, and we can walk you through what you would need to do.
So I know that a lot of you out there are struggling and trying to figure stuff out. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. I'm just feel so overwhelmed at times and just so at loss that seem like everywhere you turn, it's just issues. We got the pandemic that we were dealing with, being at home, stuck at home, worrying about our jobs, worrying about how we're going to make it. And then of unrest in America and justice and all these things take place. And it really woke me up a little bit. And I started thinking about what could I do to make a difference. And maybe I've been too quiet. Maybe I've been too cavalier. I benefited on the backs of tremendous African American people before me, and had an opportunity to start a business, make some money, and get out there. But I want to make sure I'm doing my part to pass that opportunity along to other people, so that they can benefit. And I wanted Jeff to kind of answer this question, or Kristen, or Austin, you can jump in as well. Like, for those that are struggling, they're currently in a home situation where they're not working or loss of income, what are some of the opportunities that they can do, like forbearance or deferment, or what are some of the things that they could that you can share with them to help them work through this tough time?
Do you want me to answer that first, Tony?
Yes. Can you answer? I gave you a lot there,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, there's a lot of things I think happening right now. And yes, you're right. It's a time of uncertainty in so many different ways. So one of the things that the banking industry is doing is helping people provide solutions for their mortgages, and helping them defer making payments. So if like a forbearance program is kind of across the country, and there's different setups for it, but generally speaking, it helps people kind of get back on their feet, right? So they get a 3-month deferment of their payment, and it doesn't affect their credit, which is a huge plus. So if someone that's in a spot, and they're off work for a while, and that's just an opportunity there for them to get caught up a little bit, which is nice. And that's a big piece of it right now. We're seeing quite a bit of that helping people, and then and a lot of that goes to communication. So for the homeowners out there, communicate with your financial institutions. And I think that's the biggest thing, is if you open up dialogue, if you open up communication and try to find solutions together, you'll find that it works a lot better. I think that's a great way to do it. On the banking side, there are some things that they're doing to help some of the small businesses. So people maybe are struggling on both sides, and giving some loans out there that are helping small businesses get through the process too. So lots of different things we're seeing.
I also read and I heard about, just while we're on this, a lot of these banks are $1 billion here, first 5 years, $1 billion there. And you know, I'm watching that carefully because I really like to see them deploy those dollars and make those dollars meaningful in our community. And what are some of the things you guys are doing over there internally to increase home ownership in the African American community? Some of the things that you guys are looking at in the back room to make things a little more easier and approachable for African American home buyers.
So for me,
that question just knocked you off your feet.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly.
The question was like, oh man, let me. What are we doing? No.
Yeah. No. There's lots of different things out there. We have we're one of the banks, part of the Detroit Home Mortgage Program, and I know you're active in that too, Tony. And it allows people to get into homes with little funds. It also allows people to get some money to do some of the repair work on the projects, which is nice. So if they want to buy a house, but it needs some work, and they can get enough money to close, but they also need the money for the repairs. Right, Home Mortgage Program is a great program with that. Independent Bank just signed up a program with Freddie Mac, and it's a savings program. And what it really is it's partnering with the client. So as opposed to a handout, it's a hand up, right? It's helping people understand, go through a home buyer's program to understand the importance. What are the financial commitments of owning a home and how important that is? And with the match program, basically it's over a period of time that they may need. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 2 years. And if they're saving money up, Freddie Mac is coming in with us at Independent Bank and saying, we're going to match that for you. So maybe you can save $2,500 over a couple of years or a year and a half. We're going to match that for you to help you get into that home.
That's awesome.
Doing things. And once again, it goes back to communication. Are we communicating with each other? Is the bank offering the programs and communicating those programs to their clients? And are they out there in the marketplace saying, here's another opportunity? And, property is power, Tony, and you're right about that. And it's so important, and it makes such a big difference in people's lives to be able to do that. But they need the institutions and the organizations to help them put those plans together.
That's awesome, Jeff, and thank you for that.
I just wanted to add, because GreenPath is the nonprofit counseling partner on the program that Jeff just talked about. So we pair that down payment matching with financial coaching to help people achieve their goals and check in and see how you're doing along the way. So we are part of that as well.
Awesome. That's good stuff. That's the stuff I think people like to know and hear. And, and there are a lot of institutions, doing great things. We just got to get the word out to the community more. Austin and I was talking prior to this show that we're doing across the world. I think we're in 72 countries right now. I wish. And he shared with me, and I had the same experience that he's having his best time ever. I mean, he is just doing great. And we were like, who'd have thought, during a pandemic, during all this crisis, I have not been this busy. I have been really busy, I don't know, 15 years since I've been this busy. So that just goes to speak to you how important it is, home ownership is, and that it's a stabilizer. And although everything is going on crazy in the world, we can't really mess with that because that could be the tipping point or the breaking point. Austin, can you share some of your experiences and some of the clients that you see that's coming through your door? And I do got a specific question in terms of value I want to ask you when you're done.
Sure. So one of the things we've noticed, being stuck in your home for 3 months allowed people to really think about place, where they are, how does the space fit their needs, how does the neighborhood fit their needs. And as soon as real estate opened back up May 7th, the floodgates essentially opened. So those that were fortunate enough to still have their jobs, still have their income, there was this pent up demand to really get out and really look for a place that fits their needs more so than the place that they were living. So we've seen a lot of activity in neighborhoods throughout the city and some of the suburbs in the Lower Woodward corridor, where almost every transaction is a multiple offer situation. So for example, I had some clients that were looking in North Rosedale Park and Rosedale Park in Detroit, and every single house we looked at that they liked and wanted to put an offer on, there were multiple offers, including one house they put an offer on. There was 25 offers. The house was originally listed at $200,000, ended up going for $225,000. And that's what we're seeing, that kind of stuff all over the market, particularly in single family homes. You have people, if you're working from home, you need the home office. If you have two people working from home right now, you need multiple places to work from home. You have kids at home that will be learning at home, so they need a space. People want spaces to work out because they either can't go to the gyms or people don't feel comfortable going to the gyms, even when they reopen. So how people live in their homes, I think, is starting to change significantly. Because at this moment, we're spending more time in our homes than we ever had before. And so in working with clients and we're starting the search, the key is to be prepared. Know what you can afford. What do you need to close on the property? That's where working with a lender, working with a place like GreenPath and really understanding what homeownership means, I think is very important right now. One thing that I tell clients when they're looking at homes, don't get caught up in the multiple offer situations going on. Because what I don't want you to do is to overbid on the property and then 6 months later regret you spent that money on the property because you weren't prepared. But being prepared up front will get you to your home much faster.
Nice. So when you say talk about being prepared up front a little more, what's define that for me? Being prepared, is it down payment? Is it credit? Is it do your homework on the property that you want? If you can just talk a little bit to that.
So it's really getting with the lender up front before you start looking for a property. Because what we're seeing is we go out and look at a property, and if you really like that property, you have to be prepared and ready to move immediately. Because there may be multiple offers already, or there may be multiple offers very quickly after you see the property. So if you start looking at properties and your financing is not lined up, or you don't know what you need for a down payment, you won't end up getting that property because the market is that competitive in a lot of areas right now.
Good. That was awesome. That was awesome, Austin. Tongue twist. That was awesome. But while I got you, what do you think values are going to do during this pandemic? Are you thinking to go up, go lower? How do you think the values? I know you're not an appraiser, but what are you seeing out there, and what are you thinking?
So at this moment, overall values in Metro Detroit are up over last year. There's a couple things that are playing a factor in that. The first, our inventory is down significantly from last year. I think in June, we were down 30% inventory over June of 2019. And so we also have this pent up demand. So more properties are going into multiple offer situations, which means they're probably selling at above list price. Mm-hmm. So that's bringing our averages up. And I think I'm not sure if the inventory issue is going to change anytime soon, because you have some sellers that either realize they like where they live and they're making improvements to their home to stay. You have sellers that don't want people in their homes at this moment during the pandemic, so they're not listing their homes. And they also have people that probably otherwise would have moved up and gotten a more expensive home. They're deciding to stay put because they want to be more attentive to their finances. They don't want to overextend themselves by going into a larger, more expensive home. So those are the three reasons I think we're going through an inventory issue. As long as inventory is low and demand is as high as it is, we will continue to see prices go up. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to last forever, but buyers need to be aware of the market that we're dealing with right now. Because I think a lot of buyers assume that we were going in the pandemic, we're shut down, and it'll be a buyer's market, when in fact, right now, it's a seller's market in a lot of areas.
That's awesome feedback. Brittany, I know you experienced a little bit of that. I know you called me a few times, you put in an offer and hoped that you would get it and didn't. What did that feel like? Did you learn something that you can share in that experience?
Yeah, I had quite a few. Every home I put an offer in had multiple offers as well. What I would suggest to another first-time home buyers, definitely do the programs where you can know what you're expecting before you go looking, as far as like closing costs or what your first down payment needs to be, what you have to bring to the table at the end of closing costs, because you sort of get to that point and you're like, okay, I just want to win the bid. I want to win the bid. And then you're like, oh,
you get it. It's like, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's good. Most people, to your point, most people think about down payment. They think, you know, I'm buying this house, I need 3% down, 5% down, 10%, and that's it. But there are other costs associated with that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think on our end, we could probably do a better job at explaining that. You know, just saying, hey, you got your down payment, then you got these other costs, and break those down clearly, so people clearly understand that and know what they're getting into. I mean, based on what Brittany and Austin
Right.
state, Jeff, rates are real low. Interest rates are really low, and that's creating more opportunity for people to buy and why they should buy either purchases or refinance. Can you speak to the demand for that and how busy you have been? I mean, the industry as a whole, we have been flooded because rates are so low. And that's one of the things I wanted to get the Properties Power out to show people, like, look, get out and buy something. You know, like, just don't sit on the sideline and watch the market come and go and kick a can talking about the pandemic. Get out and participate and buy something. But if you can speak to, I mean, just how low these rates are, and do you see them staying this way? I know you're not an economist, but what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, I have a crystal ball,
Nice.
so I'll shake the crystal ball, see what that does for us. So, I mean, absolutely, and it really does make it a great time to buy a house, because if your buying power becomes so much greater right now. This is the lowest the interest rates have been in any of our careers right now. I mean, I've been in this 20 plus years, and I have never been at this stage. In my personal opinion, like, mortgage rates are, you know, a 30-year mortgage below 4% is almost unheard of, and we're basically at 3% right now in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Products and programs and things, which is insane. The biggest factor with that is it allows you to buy more home. It helps you keep your payment manageable. It makes home ownership a great opportunity right now. You're absolutely right, Tony. And how long it's going to last for, it's hard to tell. I mean, we have a roller coaster ride of things happening right now. We have a stock market that is reacting very strange to the industry of everything that's happening. We have that impact is going to be hard to determine which direction that's going and how long it's going to last for. Some of the experts are, you know, predicting at least through this year and potentially through most of next year, but we never know what's going to happen. So now is the time to take action, I think.
I agree. Well said. Kristen,
Yeah.
I'm going to pivot over to you and talk about, you know, I get a lot of calls on this, on credit, on people's credit scores, and, you know, like Austin said, be prepared going into it. What tips can you provide people about their credit? How could they raise their score? Do your organization have any classes on that? Are these repair improvement companies, are they worth it, or are they, you know, there's any substance to that? You have any feedback?
Clearly, I have an opinion there. So I'd highly recommend having people give us a call. We can look at your particular situation and give you tips. And there also are resources on our website. But it's essential. There's a lot of different pieces to it. So making your payments on time is really important. Making sure you're not utilizing too much of your credit. So if you have a credit card with $1,000 limit, you're not going to want to have $1,000 on that credit card. You want to be really more like at 30% of the credit limit that you have available. That's also going to affect your credit score. And so we can walk you through those factors and what it looks like for your particular situation, and then give you ideas on ways that you can raise your credit score to get prepared to buy that home.
That's awesome. Can you share a phone number or website?
Yes.
People that are interested in that?
Yeah, our phone number is 1-800-550-1961. And our website is www.greenpath.org. And I think we just posted a video very recently around credit scores specifically, so you could watch that. We have webinars on there. We have other educational materials. And if you give us a call, our counseling is free. We'll advise you and let you know what you can do to increase your credit score.
Nice.
And don't do credit repair. They're charging a lot of money, and really we can help you figure out how to do that on your own.
Yeah, they're everywhere now. These credit repair companies are everywhere. So yeah, I was leery myself, but I thought maybe they're doing some good or something like that. Now I know Jeff, you can I know we can run credit and do what's called like a rescore, which shares to the home buyer, potential home buyer, what they need to do to improve their credit. I'm sure you have that as well. Can you explain that a little bit as well?
Yeah. So yeah, we have a program called I think it's called Credit Assure. Basically, it runs a simulator, and it'll help people. It's kind of what you, Kristen, I think, Kristen, what you're doing, as it says, it gives you an idea. If you pay this account down to this percentage, and it'll give you some different ideas. If you pay this account off, and it'll help you raise your scores by 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 points, which can make a big difference. And when you're buying a house, it can make a huge difference in what you qualify for. And it also helps educate, and I think that's the biggest thing here, right? It's educating the client how credit really works, because people don't understand. And credit is not an exact science, but you can use some basic ideas, some basic, measurements to help you improve your situation.
Awesome. I'm gonna stay right there with you, Jeff. I got a question here. If someone's purchasing a home, how is employment looked at for non-essential employees that are employed but working from home?
So there's a lot of different things with employment right now. Working from home is not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, there's not a loan officer out there that's going to be able to get a loan anymore, because we're all working from home. Working from home is not an issue. One of the things that happened with a lot of people, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, was people were let go for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and then they came back to work. And those situations were treated like no problem, as long as they were back and established. I had a few employees that were back for a week, and they were able to close on their home because they came back to work. Self-employed borrowers are a little bit different, because they have to show that their business is back established, and they may need some business bank statements. They may need a profit and loss from a CPA to help support that the business itself is back on track. Employees are much easier.
Nice. So what? And let's just throw this out to the entire group, and you guys can answer these as you so inclined. What positive changes has we seen in the industry this year for homeowners? And then we talk about, like, for me, that's a very touching point, because homeownership rate for African Americans is 42%, where others are 30, 74, 75%. And I'm wondering, what are we doing to increase home ownership in the African American community? And I was wondering, have you guys faced or seen anything out there, any programs out there that people are addressing that?
Well, Jeff talked already about the match savings program that he participates in. And then we have another program with Freddie Mac. It's called Borrow Smart. And that is a down payment incentive program that is paired with a counseling session. And it's for people who have 80% or less of area median income that can qualify for that. And so that's another thing that's pretty new this year, that is helping to increase home ownership for people and helping people understand how to get into a conventional mortgage.
Nice. Austin, so do you do deals, all your deals are in Detroit, or they're Metro Detroit?
Majority of my business is in the city of Detroit, and elsewhere along the Woodward corridor from Ferndale to Birmingham, and also the Grosse Pointe. So I see a lot of different types of housing markets, and I deal with a lot of different types of clientele, from first-time home buyers to people moving up to people downsizing.
What areas would you recommend in Detroit that are hot right now? I know you mentioned Rosedale Park. Can you go down a list of some of the areas that you would recommend to people that wanted to come into Detroit, buy a house? What are some of those in that maybe 300, 250 price range that are affordable in a sense?
So the good news is there's a lot of great up and coming neighborhoods throughout the city that you can get in even less than that, even less than 200,000. The Bagley neighborhood is really popular right now. Northwest Detroit, East English Village is really popular right now. The North End is a popular neighborhood as well. And so there's a lot of investors that have come into the city over the years and initially intended on buying and renting. They're actually buying and selling right now. One of the keys I tell clients when you're buying a flip home, an investor bought a house, renovated, is really pay attention to the quality of the work. Because you don't want to get in a situation, you think the home has been renovated, but you get in there and realize it needs a lot more work. So I've seen some really good flips lately. And those flips tend to go the fastest and for the most amount of money when the investor does a really good job on the renovations.
Nice. So basically what you're saying, Detroit is an opportunity for investors to come in and buy houses, fix them and sell them, and also move in. So
Correct.
values are increasing. I know I spend a lot of time in the Rosedale Park area because that's where I live. And I'm watching. I'm happy to hear what you stated earlier. But I'm watching so many people move into that area from other areas, outside of Detroit, which is great. And I think that's helpful for our schools, helpful for our values, and just helpful for diversity and being on the same page. Are you seeing that? You seeing a lot of buyers come into Detroit in those areas?
Absolutely, because Detroit has made significant strides in recent years, whether it's the restaurants that open up throughout the city's investment in streetscapes throughout the city. So more people are giving Detroit not a second look, but a first look. And particularly if you look at what's going on in the lower Woodward corridor in Oakland County, the values have gone up significantly over the last few years. So people that may have looked in Ferndale, Royal Oak 2 or 3 years ago are either priced out or want more house for their money are now giving Detroit a first look. And that's what we're seeing that in a lot of Northwest Detroit neighborhoods. So Sherwood Forest, Rosedale Park, Bagley, along Otter Drive. We're seeing some great activity in those areas from both people currently living in the city that may be renters, but also people currently living in the suburbs looking to come into the city.
That's awesome. So, I mean, basically, you said what I've been saying all along my entire life. Like Detroit is, you make your own opportunities. People have been sleeping on Detroit for many years. I mean, Detroiters who have lived here, born and raised here, went to school here, don't buy here, don't invest here, don't improve the neighborhoods, don't improve the housing. Take other people coming into Detroit, buying, making an opportunity. And I just want to see Detroiters who have been here, who have been stakeholders their entire life, invest. How do you invest? Buy a house, become a homeowner. Values I hear you can now, as often mentioned, you can get return on your investment. I remember when you used to buy a house in Detroit, it was just a rental property. You couldn't flip it, you couldn't sell it. You was just getting rid of revenue on it, monthly income on it. Now you can actually go in, buy it, put in good work, good quality work, as Austin talked about, turn around and sell it for a profit. So I just want to encourage everybody, get up, do something. Detroit is a phenomenal area. I mean, I've been in Detroit for so long. I mean, I've been up, down. I had houses that were worth a couple $100,000 that a few years ago they were worth, not a few years ago, $1,000, $5,000. Remember those days? So, and that's another thing. Like, so people call me all the time with their woes, their credit, they this, they that. Man, I have lost so much. I've been behind so many times. I've started over so many times. You can call me Rerun. I know a lot of you guys don't know. You can never give up, and I'm touched by when people come up to me and talk about this and that, but I'm thinking they have no idea of the struggle, the pain, the grind, and just to keep working at it and keep, trying at it. And I know a lot of people are now hearing this pandemic as an issue, but I see it as something we got to get through, but I just see it as a tremendous opportunity. Rates are super low right now. There's really no excuse for anybody not be trying to buy a house. Or maybe they own a house, they're trying to figure out what to do with their equity. Maybe they want to pay it off, invest it, get rid of some debt, save it for a rainy day. I get a lot of those calls. I got X amount of money in my house, I want to pull it out. I'm not sure what's happening in the marketplace. Whatever it is, your home could be used as a tool to bring positive change to you. So, just, if you got to start over, don't be like Rewind like I am, but just start over, but don't give up. So that's great. That's so exciting to see how well Detroit is doing it. You guys are all participating in that area and looking at it. So my questions are starting to, I'm reading them. They're starting to sound redundant a little bit. I don't know who did this for me, but I did. I did these questions. So Jeff, let me ask you a couple questions. How can people get in touch with you? How can they contact? There's a number, there's a website where people can call you, hear about that match program that you guys have. Sure. It's just awesome. Could you share that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're always happy to help people, get them started, answer questions. My phone number, best number is 248-790-1256. We have locations all over Metro Detroit. My office is in Livonia, and Independent Bank has offices all over the state to help people. Absolutely.
That's good. Thanks for sharing, Austin. So, people who are scared to go out and shop, have you come across those? Do you have any of your property set up in a virtual world where people can log in and look without even going out to the property, or people are back to normal with a mask on? What are you seeing?
So pretty much back to normal with the mask on. I keep equipment in my car just in case. Most people don't forget their mask, but hand sanitizer, gloves, I have that readily available. But what I saw, like, of course, when we were shut down, we're allowed to see properties. That was a lot of the virtual stuff going on. People were narrowing down properties virtually, not necessarily putting offers sight unseen, but just being prepared for when we open back up. And once we opened back up, it pretty much got back to normal. People weren't really hesitant in terms of looking at properties. But what I did find is people that may have been hesitant in terms of being around other people kind of let their guard down just to look for homes. So I have clients that we see each other 4 or 5 times a week looking at homes, but they won't see friends and family right now. Because obviously they know they want to buy a house, and that's a priority right now. So they know they have to go out to see the house, but not necessarily go out for other things.
That's so true. That's very true. My wife, man, I tell you, she walk around with a mask on in the house. She's one of those, I don't know, I don't want to get too political, but man, she just, I know she's watching. She probably got the mask on right now looking at the screen. So you get all kind of people, you get all kind of people out there that's taking that mask serious, and we should, we should be thinking of others, even if we don't like it or not. You should be, doing it for other people and your own
Absolutely.
health. Jeff, can you give a couple tips for people who are looking to buy a house? A couple things that they should look at in terms of down payment, getting qualified. Can you share what that process is like?
Yeah, absolutely. And to your last point, I think, yes, it is important for all to respect where everybody's at, right? Wearing masks and social distancing, and everybody's at different places, right? Are we shaking hands yet? Are we fist pumping? What are we doing? And I think all of us have to understand that, working through all of this, with clients. And Austin, that's a good point. They're spending time with you, but they're not spending time with their family yet. They just don't know. So it's all of us kind of finding our way through that. And then as far as, qualifying and getting ready to purchase, Tony, that's what you asked basically. What kind of qualifications or how people need to get ready?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So I think a lot of things, and Brittany, you said something earlier about the importance of kind of having your ducks in a row. You worded it differently, but the idea is that you should really, if you're going to look to buy a house, you really need to find that financial guide, that mortgage person that can help you. And it's important not just to look at one aspect of the transaction. I feel that most of the work is done up front, quite frankly. I think if you're looking to buy a house, you sit with a lender or you Zoom call with the lender these days, and you look at the whole picture and you get a good understanding. How I look at it is you look at your income, your assets, you look at your credit, and you look at all of those components together. And as a lender's job is to help the individual figure out the game plan on home buying based on the individual's goals. What's their financial goals, short-term and long-term, or short-term and long-term? What's their payment objective? And help them find those things. So on credit, it's looking at your credit, not only looking at your scores, but what's on there. What does it look like? What kind of history do you have in your credit? And then looking at your income. And a good lender should be looking at income documents up front and looking at the last 2 years. What type of structure of income do you have? How are you paid? Has the pandemic made any impacts on your income? Let's talk about it. Once again, let's communicate. If we're communicating, we can figure things out. Mm-hmm. Looking at your income and comparing it to your credit and saying, this is where your debt is at compared to how much you're making, and then look at your payment objective. How much do you want to pay? Does that make sense? And let's break down the payment. What are the taxes? What are the insurance? Let's make sure you're going to be comfortable in this situation. And let's talk about it. And Brittany mentioned it. Let's talk about what you need at closing. You know, there's money you need for closing cost. You know, there's bank fees, there's an appraisal, there's an inspection, there's a title fee, and then you have your taxes for the property, your insurance for the property, and then your down payment. Let's add all that together. Let's look at that together so you're prepared. This is what you need to save for. How much do you have now? How do we get there? What's the path? You know, and discussing all that and really doing the hard work up front and looking at everything together and reviewing those documentations to make sure you're ready and you're going down the right path. I think that's important.
Real quickly, how do you address, I know we have a problem with this when you start asking for bank statements and people personal accounts, they get a little uncomfortable. Can you address that a little bit?
Sure.
Why we need that?
Yeah. And I've been doing it long enough.
And also we've got some questions coming in here for some of our viewers on Facebook that I'll be reading and answering as well. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Jeff.
No problem. And once again, it's communication and explaining to your client why you're getting those documents. You know, and I explained to them that we need to look at the assets and we need to look at your bank statements. And yeah, it is personal information. And yeah, your tax returns it is personal information. But we're reviewing it so we understand, so we can give the right advice to help you get a home. The other thing, and I explain this to all my clients, is if I understand everything and I review everything, and you're putting an offer in on a house, and then I'm speaking to the listing agent for you, I can sell you all day long, and I can explain to the listing agent, we have reviewed everything. This is a solid transaction. Brittany is going to qualify for this house. This will close, you know, and you can really help the client along. As long as they understand those things, then they understand why they share that information.
It's good feedback to our listeners, and I'm sure Brittany appreciates a lot of that, and a lot of listeners appreciate it. Austin, real quick, you mentioned it earlier, like if you can give just some advice and tips on what people should prepare with when they go out to buy a home. Like the one thing you mentioned was be pre-qualified. You're not going to take anyone out, show them anything, drive around, come out, look, and go through a dream journey with them unless they've been pre-qualified, right? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially I start with a client consultation where we talk about their needs and their wants. Then we talk about the importance of getting pre-qualified. So I'll either have them reach out to a lender. Sometimes the buyers that are really ready to go and prepared, they may have that done before they even call me. But also like figuring out the neighborhoods you want to be in. And particularly in the market we're in right now, sometimes people have to do a little bit broader search, particularly if they're dealing with a tighter timeline. And so we may drive around neighborhoods so they can get comfortable and get an idea what certain neighborhoods are like. So maybe they're willing to expand their search, or maybe they continue to narrow their search. I tell clients, it's not a problem if your search is narrow. Just be prepared that it may take a little longer to find a house. If it's a broader search, you have more options, and you have a greater opportunity of getting that house sooner. And then once we narrow down the neighborhoods, then we start looking. And it's really, you really have, like I mentioned before, you have to be ready to go. That first house you fall in love with, as soon as you get in there may be 10 people that have seen it before you, 10 people may have seen it after you, and then the next day you're looking at highest and best multiple offers. So really being prepared is really crucial during this market right now.
That's awesome. Kristen, if you could share a little bit, like your ideal candidate that will come to your company, what is your ideal, who could you help right now today in your organization with Green Path Financial Wellness?
Absolutely. Really, anybody who's ready to take a step in improving their financial health. So if they're interested in buying a home, we can talk to them about that path forward and what they might need to do, either for the down payment or the credit score. If they're closer down the journey, like they've already done all this pre-qualification and everything, we can help them be prepared to be successful in that home. Thinking about what does my spending plan look like after I move in? What are the utilities going to cost? Do I have an emergency savings in case anything happens or I need to make repairs to the home? So really thinking through what that successful path is going to look like after after they move into the home. We also are really skilled at helping people consolidate and pay off their credit card debt. So we have programs where we can work with you to get your interest rates reduced dramatically so that you can really get out of credit card debt and put that behind you, which sometimes that can be a barrier to home ownership.
That's good stuff. I've got questions here from on Facebook, and I was just about to say, but I don't see them, and then it just pops right up. Jamil back there working it. How would you suggest finding good quality workers that you can trust and will be fair in this? Wait, is there a network or quality contractors? I'm old and I can't read and see. Let's try it again. How would you suggest finding good quality workers that you can trust and will be fair? Okay. Is there a network of quality contractors? So yeah, I got it. For me, Wendy, that's a great question. It's kind of word of mouth, So we do a substantial amount of fix and flips and type stuff. So it's kind of like it's the people you're comfortable working with. So I know, as you develop with the relationship over time. So as people I know I can work with, I can trust, but you just have to be on it. Contractors are a trip in general. So, I mean, they can be your best friend or whatever, but, you just got to be on it and be able to manage the project. But there are some good ones. I'll be happy to refer you a few that I use that do some fix and flips for me and also do a little, more custom stuff as well. I would love to refer them to you as well. Good question. So you got to be careful out here hiring people. And, I get people all the time calling me, and I learned the hard way. Like, they don't call me rewind for nothing. Let me tell you something. People will come to me and they'll be like, "Hey, Kellum, man, give me a shot. I do this, I do that, I do this, I paint, I drywall." And you want to help people out, man. They take your money, they don't come back. The work is terrible, or they get mad at you like, "Oh, you can't help me out, you can't do this." And then I'm always end up holding the bag. Make sure you vet people and it's real dollars, because the longer that property is on the market, the more money it's going to cost you. It's not going to get cheaper. So it's important to have talented people that you trust, that you can work with. So don't try to save money and do something for cheap, because it always come back and get you. We got one from Carrie. Is there an income requirement to take advantage of the program that Jeff just mentioned for down payment assistance? So Jeff, let me try that again, since I cannot see, and I wish they could make it like a 15 font. Is there any income requirements to take advantage of for the program? This is for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Mention the down payment.
Yeah, and there is. And there is. Yeah, there is. And there's in most programs that are a grant style or a matching program, it does have income requirements, and it's per county, and we can review that for people. And it's a certain percentage of the median income of the area, and we can figure that out depending on the situation. And Kristen, you may be able to speak to that even more than I can. I think through the exact numbers. I want to say 60%, but I'm not sure if that's right.
It's 80%. 80% of area
right.
median income.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good question, Carrie. The other thing that I wanted to kind of share a little bit, Brittany, if you can, I know you've been sitting up there. I see you nodding off. You're like, you're the one out here in real life. If you can give a little bit of advice or tip to someone that's out there shopping for a home, from the standpoint of a realtor, that relationship with the real estate agent and going out, how important that is. Could you share a little bit for someone's watching?
I think it's just lay everything out up front. So that person's there to help you. They're not gonna, it's really a win-win for you as long as you're being honest with the things that you want. Know what you want, know where you want to be as far as the location and as far as how much you want to spend. And that'll make everything a lot easier.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome, because a lot of people do. I mean, Jeff, this, they hold things back. You run a credit report, they got this collection or this bill on it, or some car payment, or some type of cosign account that they're doing, and it could hurt you. So just be upfront and clear it, and see how we can work through those issues and help people become homeowners. I get it all the time. I'm like, man, where did where does car payment come in from? And the other thing, if you're buying a house, if you're out there going to buy a house, don't go buy a car or get a credit. Don't go out there and I got proof for my house, so I want to get this car to go to the garage. Wait, do not do that. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. Have that ever happened to you, Jeff, where people go and buy things before they close on a mortgage? I wouldn't suggest that you do that. I've got one other question real quick, is like, and I guess this is to Austin and Brittany, is like, how well do real estate agents and lenders work together?
They work together wonderfully. That's also key to making the transaction go smoothly. If the lender and realtor are not communicating well and often, that's how things fall apart. That's one thing I make sure when I'm working with clients, introduce myself to their lender, keep that ongoing level of communication, because you want that deal to go as smoothly as possible, because buying a home is overall a very stressful and important process. So you want to make it easier on the buyer. And so that's where lenders and realtors come together, communicating effectively, works out well for everyone.
Awesome. That's good stuff. And I got a question here, Jeff, to you. I guess they tuned in a little later. If you can touch base on the forbearance agreement again, and how that's used, and how that benefits, and maybe even how that could harm someone. If you can share that again. I know you talked about that a little bit at the tap hour. If you can share that again, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kristen can talk on this a little bit also. But the one thing with forbearance right now is it can be a very helpful tool. We were talking about that. If someone is, in a dire situation, it's important. I had some clients that contacted me that weren't really in a dire situation, and I told them, you might not want to really go through this process if you don't have to. And one of the requirements to get financing, is that you're out of the forbearance program, that you're caught up on your payments. So the market started dropping really quick here, and the rates came down, and people wanted to refinance, and they needed to basically get caught up on the payments they just skipped. So it kind of defeated the purpose in that situation. So.
Yeah, and additionally to that, they've made it real easy too for you to go on a forbearance. Just go in there, you click a button, you get three months of no payments. Now 6 months. So Kristen, thank you, Kristen. So 6 months. No, I think that's internally our rules. We kind of changed them a little bit.
So the CARES Act, just to clarify, so the CARES Act does for federally backed mortgages. So if you have an FHA or a Freddie Mac or a Fannie Mae mortgage, you get 6 months, and then you can get an additional 6 months, 180 days is what it is, automatically. And so the first enrollment is very easy. Many of them are doing that completely online. And then if you do need an additional 6 months, you can go through a process to get that additional 6 months.
So Carrie jumped back on here and she said, so if you take advantage of the forbearance agreement for 3 or 4 months, how do you pay it back? Like, do you have to pay 3 months of your mortgage payment at once? So so if you miss $1,000 a month, $3,000, do you have to pay it one time? That's how?
No. And that's one of the things that was clarified too. So when the CARES Act first came out, it was very confusing as far as like, oh my gosh, if I skip 6 months, am I going to have 6 months at the end of that time? And they did clarify that usually they're going to be tacked on to the end of the mortgage. So if you were going to be done in 30 years and wherever you're at in that mortgage, it's now going to be 30 years and 6 months. You'll have 6 extra months of payments. But there also are other options. And so you can work with your lender to figure out what options are available and which one's going to work best for you. And that's also where nonprofit housing counseling can help. So it's very confusing, and you can call us and we can walk you through what those options are and what the pros and cons might be for each of the different options for your particular situation. So we're happy to do that. We handle those kinds of calls all the time. We have 167 HUD certified counselors on our team. So we are here, we are ready, we're answering the phone, there's no hold times. So if you have any question at all, or you just want to talk about forbearance more and see, like, is this something I should think about? We can walk you through that.
Yeah, no, I get on a weekly call with the Association of Private Lenders, Community Lenders, and there's a study out where there's a ton of people doing forbearance agreements that don't need to. They just go on and click. They don't need to. And I don't know how that's going to affect the market in terms of interest rate or cost for a mortgage when people really need to do it. So if you don't need it, don't do it, because it could hurt you if you decide to refinance, get a lower interest rate. It could be an issue, but it is there to help you and give you some relief. So if you do need it, take it. By all means, take it. The other thing I want to point out for those that are buying a house, make sure I know someone who's bought a house, beautiful house, and they got there, the air conditioner went out, the wash machine didn't work, so they had to get a wash machine and a dryer. So make sure you save enough money for things that will go wrong. I know a lot of lenders require that too, like reserves and things of that nature for that. So be careful of that, because I know someone contacted me and they said, well, I'll just jump in this forbearance agreement. I was like, you may not want to do that. Doesn't sound like you have an employment issue. You just got a money issue with the wash machine and the air conditioning, which is high as heck out here. We need it, but just try to, not do that if you don't need to. How are we doing? We doing all right? This is awesome. I think we got 3 minutes left. I want to really want to thank Michigan Chronicle and Flagstar Bank. I'm gonna do it again. I know we're not at the end of the show because I've been prompt yet, but I just excited to be here today discussing why it's so important to own a house, to become homeowners. I mean, home ownership is so important. Like when I was a child, I would be remiss not to share this with you, so you know where I'm coming from. I'm not just a talking head. It's like when I was a kid, my core goal was to own a house. That's the one thing my dad installed in me. You would, own a home, put your kids in a home, become a homeowner. And I remember my first house, how happy I felt to have the American dream. And it seemed like that dream is lost now. And I don't know if it's in renting, I don't know what it is, but it's so important. Like we can't get caught up. Our community can't get caught up in people that are renting these nice apartments, because you're not building any equity, you're not building any wealth. And more importantly, you're not leaving a legacy. You're not passing anything along to your children. There's been a couple times when my kids were in college, I had to put money out of my house to keep them there. A few times, if I didn't have that opportunity, the house I bought that I can lean on to keep them in college. So now they're further behind. They've got more debt. They've got more issues. So remember, it's so important really important to buy homes. If you look at Rosedale Park and some of these other neighborhood Austins, there's a reason that people are investing. People are fixing these houses. They're beautiful. People are cutting their grass. It's the perfect time. There is no excuse. There's no more excuse to why you won't own a home or why you won't lower your interest rate. Your interest rate also play a powerful role. The lower your rate, the less you pay to interest and the more goes to principal, which means the faster you pay your home off and the more equity you build over time. So it has all these benefits. And if I can help you, and I don't care who you do, you can just call me and say, I bought a house. I would be happy. I would love to be able to help you. You can call me anytime, send me an email, text me. My whole goal in life is to put Black folks into homes, because I understand what that does and what that means to America, and how America is better when Black people own homes. And so that's just, that's my stick. I want to thank Flagstar Bank. I want to definitely thank the Michigan Chronicle for sponsoring this and putting this on and producing this. And I want to also thank, I got my notes here somewhere. Oh my God. Where are they? Here we go. I got them. I want to thank our panelists, Brittany, Kristen, Jeff, Austin, my man, Austin. I want to thank, I don't have my notes. I don't know where they are, but somebody tell me. We got the Michigan Chronicle, we got Flagstar Bank, we got Jamal, where you at? Oh, there we go. He put it up since I couldn't do it. I got so much paper. Look at all this paper. This is not an easy job, man. I mean, this hasn't been easy. Trust me.
You left out Kellum Mortgage. You forgot to thank Kellum Mortgage.
Definitely got to thank Kellum Mortgage. Kellum's the man. I mean, he's my favorite person. Kellum's the man. Yeah. So I'm just glad to be here. And I oh my goodness, I can't think of the last. That's awful.
Housing Center.
The Fair
Metro
Housing
Detroit.
Center.
Fair Housing Center of Metro Detroit. That's awesome. They do great work. Look them up. Thank you for your support, and thank you guys. And I think we're done, right? Are we all done here? All right. Remember, property is power. See you guys next time. Thank you very much. Awesome.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Awesome.
Thanks.